detention center where people are being held. Over here, for instance, we have people just doing a sit-in, playing a guitar, making some prayers. We have people here with every single issue you can imagine. I don't think there's one issue that's not touched here. We even saw a protester. Actually, he's right here. Look at his sign. No more protests. So you've really got a colorful group here. You also have a heavy police presence. You can see just down the street here, we have riot officers surrounding the area. But so far, nothing has boiled over here. There are no flashpoints. Protesters have approached the line, but they've been very good. And there have been no confrontations. So we are remaining here. They've been here now for a couple hours. We're not sure if police want to clear them out. We don't suspect they will because, again, everyone here has been incredibly peaceful. Gord.
Okay, Francis, thank you for that. Another hotbed of protest activity today. The G20 Detention Center on Eastern Avenue. Roger Peterson is there live right now with another tense standoff with police. Roger.
That's right, Gord. It has been the focal point here all day. Now, right now, there's a group just beyond me. This is as close as we can get. You can see our truck is inside the police line here. We're not even allowed to cross that. We actually have to wait for our cable to be run back here. Heavy police presence. There is a group of about 100 to 200 demonstrators there right now. It is very peaceful, but that was not the case earlier when police swooped in to arrest some targeted suspects that they'd been looking for. The anarchists may have run amok yesterday, but today, police were striking back. Plainclothes officers screeching up in unmarked vehicles and plunging into the crowd to grab specific protesters, believed to be Black Bloc members. This morning's events were a continuation of the overnight sweep that targeted protesters at a similar rally outside the center.
If you do not leave, you will get arrested.
And at other locations throughout the city. It also brought to an abrupt end the peaceful march that was supposed to show solidarity for the several hundred who have been arrested so far. Some of whom were released to the cheers of the crowd.
Cops did this to me. Yeah.
What were you doing when they picked you up?
Can you describe the conditions in there, please?
Look, I don't really want to talk to anyone right now.
Please, can you stand the grounds?
But shortly thereafter, the arrest started. Police even using muzzle blasts, which is a mix of talcum powder and trace amounts of pepper spray, to clear out the remaining demonstrators. Even though most of the protesters have dispersed, police are still marching down the street to clear it, much to the anger of many of the people who live on this street, feeling frustrated about what's going on. Well, how do you feel about seeing something like this?
I just think it's really ridiculous. I think Stephen Harper's out of his mind spending the kind of money he does. It's not right. Shame on you people!
For other residents, it was a chance to record a piece of history, one they won't soon forget.
Back on the sidewalk.
All of that took place around noon, 1 o'clock. After that, the crowds quickly dispersed. They have been coming and going. There was a group of cyclists that came around on a march, or I guess on a wheeling march, if you want to call it that. Came down, stayed for a little while. One person was arrested there. We just saw her taken away. But right now, everything is quiet and peaceful here, Gord. And police are maintaining a very strong presence. There's the squad over there, the tactical team over there, all of them ready if anything should happen. But right now, it's just a standoff. Back to you.
Roger, thank you. We'll catch up with you later. Police took preemptive action today, hoping to prevent a second day of widespread violence. Crime specialist Dwight Drummond live now with a police tactic which was being used to target possible anarchists.
Gord, if you're driving around Toronto today in a vehicle with Quebec plates, expect to get stopped by police. It's all part of the effort to stop more destruction in the city before it starts.
That's reason enough to arrest him, I think, on a day like today. A day after the protests we saw yesterday.
3 Quebec men under arrest after police allege they discovered a virtual anarchist protest kit in their car, including Molotov cocktails and homemade bulletproof vests.
It's exactly what they should be doing, is stopping this before it becomes an explosion on Queen Street, 2 blocks from here.
Yeah.
We live in the neighborhood, and I'm glad to see this.
Just a few blocks north, a police raid at the University of Toronto.
Non, il était pas au courant. Il arrêtait tout le monde.
About 70 people arrested here in this raid. The majority of them appear to be from Quebec, and they were staying here at U of T at the Graduate Students Union.
We've seized bottles with unknown substances in it. We've seized black clothing, bricks, sharpened sticks, items that you definitely do not need to spend any time in Toronto with.
Those arrested appear to be members of the Quebec-based anti-capitalist group CLAC. They're being blamed for some of yesterday's violence. Officers are roaming the streets today in unmarked police vans, searching for them. Investigators say they also have pictures of some of the suspects who didn't cover their faces yesterday, and those pictures are being circulated, and those suspects are being actively sought. Gord?
Okay, Dwight, thank you. Broken glass, damaged buildings, and shattered nerves. They were the result of yesterday's wave of destructive protests. Pam Seidel with the businesses and residents left to pick up the pieces.
It made me absolutely sick to my stomach that this could happen in my city. I hope that the judges throw the book at the perpetrators who did that, and I just hope it never happens again.
It was an unprecedented show of violence and destruction on the streets of Toronto. Our crew had to run in panic from out-of-control protesters bent on attacking both police property and the media. Finally, about 3 hours later, an incredible show of force from thousands of officers put a stop to the demonstration. But not before windows were smashed along Dundas, Queen, and College Streets, and excrement tossed into a clothing store.
It was just people getting out of control. You know, most of the people that were there probably weren't like that.
Canada is such a peaceful country. I think it's sad that it happened.
Today, some businesses that weren't damaged were taking preventative measures, closing for the day and covering up their windows with plywood. It is very definitely not business as usual on our downtown streets, particularly along Yonge Street here, not only with all these boarded up storefronts, but with continued police checks of people on the street.
It's the 5th time it's happened in like 20 minutes, and it's a little excessive.
It's been never ending. It's just like right after right is being stepped on and violated. It's getting a little frustrating to be cooperative.
This contractor is being kept busy boarding up windows and will also be replacing many broken ones. But the increase in business is hardly a payoff.
We don't want this to happen to the city, you know? This is our city.
Yeah.
You know, it's my city.
Many are describing it as a shame that something that started as a peaceful protest on the part of thousands became overshadowed by a violent few.
It makes you feel less sympathetic for people who don't really express a cause but just express violence.
We likely won't be seeing sights like this on our downtown streets after this weekend very often, but it'll be a lot longer than that before our city is back to normal. I'm Pam Seidel, City News.
And we're joined live now by Downtown City Councillor Adam Vaughan. The City of Toronto has never seen anything like this. You have witnessed the businesses that suffered a lot of destruction and a lot of violence. Still, there's the issue of compensation. There's still no answer.
I checked with City Manager's office before coming on air. Still no reply at all from Ottawa. We're in touch with their BIA, who's in touch with the individual businesses. We'll be totaling up the damages, and we'll be having a meeting tomorrow to press our case. This is a federal event. There are federal obligations, and small businesses shouldn't bear the brunt of it.
We're told that business owners who decided to close their doors and not do business yesterday probably would not be compensated. You had to be open to do business in order to get some compensation. That makes sense.
You had to endure the risk to be available for compensation. And even then, if you're outside the fence, there's no clear way of getting that compensation. And as soon as the summit stops, as soon as they hit the gavel, you're on your own. And we think the federal government has a responsibility here, and we're going to continue to push for that. Vic Taves, I think on City, suggested that we should send Ottawa money as thanks for the staging of the G20 in the city. I think everyone in the city knows how absurd that statement was from the Minister of Justice. We hope for some more rational response in the days ahead.
I know you want to push the case, but how do you forcefully get the government to listen to you and take some compensative action?
Well, I think the Conservatives miscalculate. I think they think a lot of the small businesses are downtown residents. They don't need to worry about it because they're not Tory ridings. I can assure them that most of them come out of the 905, and if they think that they're going to escape political judgment on this, they're wrong. We were pushing the case right across the country, right across the province, right across the GTA. This is a national obligation to people who happen to be Canadians, who happen to live in Toronto, but it's their responsibility.
You were born and raised in this city. What do you think when you see scenes like the ones we're showing now, where there's, riot police, protesters, damage, all of that?
Look, all of us want the city that we know and love returned to us, and we've got calls into the office complaining about too much police, calls coming into the office complaining about not enough police. It's an extraordinarily volatile situation yesterday. It's calm today, thank goodness, hopefully, and we'll sort out, when the smoke clears, what was done right, what was done wrong. We'll make those assessments, and we'll know how to deal with this better the next time. But in the interim, the police have asked everyone to step back, to listen, and to act responsibly. And if the police do that, if the demonstrators do that, and if the G20 delegates do that, I think we'll have a safe city tonight and tomorrow and forever.
All right, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today,
Thank you.
Adam. Coming up, a check of Toronto's troubled streets as our City News G20 special continues.
100 Questions. Season finale, 10:30 Thursday on City TV.
You're safe now, because you cry. Don't act like a crybaby. Help me out here!
An all-new season of Hell's Kitchen. 7 Tuesday on City TV.
When you use Head & Shoulders shampoo and conditioner together, your hair is so soft and free of visible flakes. People will find it irresistible. Head & Shoulders Smooth and Silky Shampoo. 8 out of 10 hairdressers agree that it leaves hair touchably soft. Head & Shoulders. Respect the scalp, love the hair. Recommended by the Dermatology Review Panel.
I'm Pam, here with the Rogers Home Phone Challenge. Join all of the Canadians who've switched to Rogers Classic Value Plan for everyday low pricing on their home phone and savings every month.
If you haven't switched yet, you're probably paying too much. I mean, we're saving a lot now, each month.
With Rogers, I know I'm always getting a great price every day.
And switching was easy. I made one phone call and Rogers took care of everything else.
Take the Home Phone Challenge and see why over 100,000 Canadians have switched. Call the number on your screen now. You'll get the same reliability, plus 2 calling features of your choice, and 500 North American long-distance minutes, with no contract, no gimmicks, and no hassles. Just call today.
It was so easy.
I only wish we did it sooner.
What are you waiting for? Find out how much you can save. Go online and take the Home Phone Challenge today, or call the number on your screen right now to switch to Rogers Home Phone.
We know you work hard for your money, so now is the time to take advantage of the GM Employee Pricing Event, where you pay what GM employees pay, meaning you get up to $14,000 in price adjustments. And also get employee pricing on these Consumers Digest Award winners. Pay what we pay. Get up to $14,000 in price adjustments at the GM Employee Pricing Event. On now for a limited time at your local GMC dealer.
A stare-down continues this hour between police and protesters. Francis D'Souza live at King and Bay. Francis?
Yes, Gord, you can see a lot of the protesters are actually still quite peaceful here. There's quite a different image considering or compared to other protests we've seen. So here we have a group sitting and just blocking the road, but being very calm. And then what they're doing is, if you turn here, this is what they're looking at. They're looking at the officers who are heavily armed. They have the riot shields up. We see one officer with a rubber bullet gun. So very different protest. And just down the street on this side, just a few minutes ago, they had actually closed down King Street. You can see traffic is starting to move again. There were two protesters who were just sitting in the middle of the street. Police just went over to them, asked them if they would leave. They just stood up and moved away. But we're hearing things are escalating in different areas of the city now. There were a group of cyclists that were here. They have now decided to cycle onwards on Queen towards Dufferin to meet up with people at the mobilization office. So we think that may be a flashpoint area right now. Gord?
All right, Francis, thank you for that. Live next, Roger Peterson. I'm sorry, before we get to Roger, let's go live to Mark Daly.
All right, Gordon. Well, motorists should be bracing for more closures, especially with things pretty well wrapping up at the summit. The leaders trying to head back to Pearson in the next couple of hours. Live to Eva Francescatos with a look at the roads right now at 680. Eva.
Yeah, Mark, we do have a lot of closures already happening right now. This westbound Gardiner, it's been closed for quite some time. This is a southbound Don Valley Parkway. The South DVP ramp to that West Gardiner, as you can see, has been shut down. Everyone being forced off onto the lakeshore. The westbound Gardiner, it's closed from the Don Valley Parkway all the way through to the 427. So all ramps are included in that West Gardiner closure as well. We've got the northbound 427 from the Gardiner all the way through to Eglinton. All the collector lanes have been shut down. That includes all the ramps as well. So you want to avoid that downtown core because you cannot access that West Gardiner. This could be closed through to the evening, maybe even until 8 o'clock or 9 at night for those motorcades. Mark.
All right, Eva, thanks very much. No problems on the TTC regular Sunday schedule today. GO trains running on schedule. Buses slowed, of course, because of the Gardiner 427 closures, and we'll continue to bring you the latest on the conditions of the roads throughout the show. For now, it's back to Gordon.
All right, Mark, thank you. The Ontario Coalition Against Poverty has been one of the more vocal protest groups at this weekend summit. We're joined live now by Lisa Schofield, an organizer with OCAP. Your message, if I get it correctly, is that the leaders of the world must take more positive action to look after the poor and disadvantaged of the world, correct?
No, I wouldn't say that's our message.
What
I would
is your
say
message?
Our message is that the G20 is an illegitimate institution and that the people who have taken to the streets this weekend, the people who took to the streets on Friday with our demonstration, and people who took to the streets yesterday are opposed to the entire G20 formation. They are opposed to the policies of the G20 that affect people's lives every single day.
Why do you say the G20 is an illegitimate organization? Does it not represent the governments of the world?
It represents perhaps the governments of the world, but it certainly does not represent the people of the world. And the policies that the G20 are making, the decisions that the G20 are making, are decisions that affect poor and working class people. You're seeing the IMF pushing forward austerity measures, like things that we're seeing happening in Greece right now, where there's huge cutbacks to public spending. That's happening now in Canada as well, and it's going to be happening in Canada on a much larger scale. And the G20 this weekend is meeting to talk about 20 years of austerity measures, which essentially means 20 years of cuts to public spending and 20 years of privatization of public goods.
Let me just hold you there, Lisa, because Prime Minister Stephen Harper is about to speak at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Let's go there live and listen to what he's saying.
d'entente cadre sur la croissance
we also are going to work to have a balanced and durable economic growth, and the G20 wants an assessment for each country at the time when we shall be looking at Seoul. So we have come to an agreement for an important reform of the financial sector. So improve regulation for capitalization and prudent approach, and we managed to complete this important work earlier than forecast. Each country will be able to determine and apply a bank tax if necessary. We have also discussed other measures such as anti-protectionism and also the cancellation of the debt by Haiti. Obviously, the G20 has a lot more to do to ensure good recovery, but we have strived towards goals that Canada had worked for.
Growth of sovereign debt. As we strive to build strong, sustainable, and balanced economies, that is the issue we have had to tackle head-on, and we have arrived at firm targets for advanced economies on debt reduction and reducing debt-GDP ratios. The targets are a 50% deficit reduction by 2013 and a debt-to-GDP ratio that should be on a downward, at least stabilized, or on a downward trend by 2016. Now, that said, all leaders recognize that fiscal consolidation is not an end in itself. There will be a continued role for ongoing stimulus in the short term as we develop the framework for strong, sustainable, and balanced growth. In terms of the framework, we want to applaud a number of recent actions that are important down payments on that framework, if I can use that term. First of all, the budget of the United Kingdom, which strongly tackled the British deficit, Chinese flexibility on exchange rates, and the new U.S. law on financial sector reform. The G20 summit declaration that puts some of the meat on the bones of the framework of strong, sustainable, and balanced growth will lead us to country-level assessments as we approach the next meeting in Seoul. It's also important to note agreement on ongoing and important financial sector reforms, specifically to increase the quality and quantity of capital standards, to enhance prudent regulatory oversight, and a commitment, most importantly, to accelerate this work and complete it by the summit in South Korea. I should note as well the issue of bank levies has been left to individual countries. There are important agreements on a number of other matters. I'll just mention a couple. Continued progress on anti-protectionism. We've agreed to extend the Washington standstill for another 3 years, and debt relief for the country of Haiti, which, as you know, is an important priority for Canada. There's also some important work that's been completed, I should mention as well, on reform of international institutions, and that work will also continue as we move forward. The G20 still has a lot to do to fully entrench recovery. The G20 still has a lot to do to fully entrench the global recovery, but these are important steps forward, and as you know, they were steps that Canada has been seeking.
Thank you very much. We'll now have time to take...
Apparently someone in the audience disagreeing with the Prime Minister. We were talking about debt reduction before. Isn't it true, though, if these governments don't get their deficits and debts under control, then some of them are in danger of going bust and everybody gets hurt. So how does that help the poor people of the world?
Well, I think we need to remember, where does this crisis come from, right? This is not an economic crisis that was created by poor and working people. This is an economic crisis that was created by the bankers and was created by those who run those financial institutions.
But that's the past. What about the future?
That's the past, and that still needs to be the future. Those are the institutions that need to be held responsible. It's not poor and working people who need to pay through austerity measures. It's the banks, it's in the corporations that need to be held responsible, and that money, you know, that has been stolen from us, and that money is going to be continued to be stolen from us in 20 years of austerity measures. And people on the streets this weekend have said definitively no, and they're rejecting that policy, and they're rejecting what the G20 is putting forward and what Harper is really spearheading in putting forward austerity measures.
Do you feel that it's been difficult to get your message across because it may have been overshadowed by the violence of the weekend? Do you think that you get painted with that violent brush? I asked John Clark about this yesterday.
I don't think so, and I don't think, you know, I really think we need to differentiate between what is violence and what's property damage. You know, some cars being smashed, some windows being smashed, that's property damage, that's not violence. Violence is...
But then we get into the area of acceptability.
No, but violence is people's lives, right? Millions of people's lives around the world, including in Toronto, where 10,000 people are homeless. Millions of people's lives are in misery and being affected by G20 policies.
But how does smashing property, how is property destruction, how does that further the cause? How does that make your point sound even...
People are losing their lives because of the G20 policies, and that is violence. That's violence. Windows being smashed, that's property damage. That's a simple definition.
So that's acceptable?
I'm not saying it's a tactic, and I'm not going to denounce it, It's a tactic, right? And I think that we need to differentiate between property damage and violence. Violence is we're seeing people losing their lives. We're seeing people losing their lives under G20 policies that don't care about people's lives.
Two negatives don't make a positive. You can't destroy property and say this is a good thing.
Well, you can talk about that with the G20. Why don't you talk about that with Harper and the police who are on the streets right now bashing people's heads in or breaking down people's doors and arresting organizers?
All right. Thanks for taking the time to come in here, Lisa. Appreciate it. More from the streets and a long look behind the fence when our City News G20 special continues.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition, 8 tonight on City TV.
Closed captioning is brought to you in part by Kevin Thatcher and Associates. Over 10 years of bankruptcy experience, helping people get a fresh start.
Hairstyles come and go. But to get the most out of every style, you want a shampoo that gives you thicker looking hair. Dirt and oil can build up on your scalp, leaving your hair looking thin. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance Shampoo has a cleansing hydrosync formula designed to remove that buildup for a healthy looking scalp, leaving you hair that's free of visible flakes and fuller and thicker looking. Satisfaction guaranteed. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance. Respect the scalp. Get the hair.
Come on, kids. Wow. That was your first bike, remember?
Dirt takes its toll on things you cherish. Vim Cream with microparticles lifts dirt easily.
Hey, Mom, look at my glasses.
Bringing back the clean. And a new lease on life. It's amazing what comes clean with Vim Cream.
The TD Toronto Jazz Festival is back with 10 days of extraordinary world-class jazz. Join over 1,500 Canadian and international artists for more than 350 free and ticketed concerts all across the GTA. Performers include Harry Connick Jr., Herbie Hancock, The Roots, and many more. Plus, don't miss Chaka Khan and Macy Gray free at Yonge Dundas Square. Watch BT and City News for TD Toronto Jazz Festival highlights. The 24th annual TD Toronto Jazz Festival, June 25th to July 4th.
Always Infinity. With its revolutionary material, it adapts more, absorbs more, and bounces back more than that other pad, helping to make all your period worries disappear. Just like magic. Always Infinity. Change your period experience forever.
It's amazing the power of a great embrace. Introducing Venus Embrace Disposables, the only disposable razor with 5 blades surrounded by a ribbon of moisture. It's our closest shave from a disposable razor for your closest moments. Venus Embrace, now available in disposables.
World leaders are wrapping up their G20 summit in Toronto's security zone, where none of the uproar of the past couple of days has penetrated. Before the final session got underway, all of the leaders posed for the traditional so-called family photo. Prime Minister Stephen Harper was front and center with the cameras and the microphones.
Here is the tightrope that we must walk. To sustain recovery, it is imperative that we follow through on existing stimulus plans, those to which we committed ourselves last year, but at the same time, advanced countries must send a clear message that as our stimulus plans expire, we will focus on getting our fiscal houses in order.
During their brief time inside the G20 fortress, the leaders did not spend all their time at the negotiating tables. They managed to squeeze in a walkabout meeting with young people. The Prime Minister invited each of the G20 countries to send 7 youth delegates to the meeting. The spouses of the leaders got together at a lunch hosted by Laureen Harper. She presented them all with scarves and decorative serving plates as official souvenirs. But overshadowing everything at this get-together was the need to take specific, effective action to ward off another world economic tsunami.
We should agree that deficits will be halved by 2013. We should also agree that government debt to GDP ratio should be stabilized by 2016 at the least, or put on a downward path.
The world leaders are being watched by international reporters at the media headquarters. Cynthia Mulligan is one of them. Let's check in live with her at the Direct Energy Center. Cynthia.
Gord, 3,000 members of the international media came to Toronto for this summit, and many of them have been working here for the last 3 days, converging on the Direct Energy Center. And it's been fascinating talking to these people from around the world about their impressions of Toronto. I've spoken to members of the media from South Africa, Peru, Germany, France, Italy, Scandinavia. All of them love this city and have actually managed to get a bit of a peek at it in between writing their stories and covering the summit. The impression is overwhelmingly good. They say that this is an international city, it's first class, and they love Toronto, even despite the protests. Sadly, one journalist from South Africa told me that unfortunately, even though he considers this a world-class city, the image that will be sent around the world is of that police car on fire on Queen Street yesterday. And he said it's too bad because that's really not the Toronto that he's seen firsthand.
Well, you know, the images are one thing, but they're personal impressions of the city. Most of them, as you said, have enjoyed their time here. They think highly of the city of Toronto. But personally, how do they feel when they see the images of the destruction and the rioting that has taken place?
Well, interesting. The gentleman from South Africa said he was shocked to see that actually happened. And he was out amongst the protest initially when it was first peaceful. And he was quite sad to see that it had turned that way and that is the image that the world will see and have of Toronto. Because he said firsthand, he's been here for 5 days actually, and he said he loves Toronto. He thinks it's very cosmopolitan and that the people are very warm and friendly.
In speaking with members of the international media, I know many of them said when they arrived here that they'd hoped to have a couple of days after the G20 was over to explore the city. Are you still hearing any comments like that?
Most of them seem to be going home tomorrow when this is all done. One point to make, our notorious fake lake is just behind me over there in the corner, and there are Muskoka chairs around the lake, and you're supposed to be watching a big screen about beautiful images of Ontario, much of them up north. Well, all those chairs have been turned the opposite way. They're not looking at the lake or those images. They're actually watching a big screen with the soccer game on it this afternoon, and that's where you saw the most levity and the most passion, shall we say, and loud screams of approval would erupt here throughout the center every now and then when somebody scored a goal. So they seem to be much more interested in watching soccer than our fake lake, Gord.
Well, world's biggest sport, it's understandable why the international media would be glued to it. Thank you, Cynthia. We'll catch up with you later on. Even with the fate of the world's economy on the line, leaders found time to enjoy some global competition today. German Chancellor Angela Merkel and British Prime Minister David Cameron took a break to catch up on the World Cup action. Although by the end of the first half, Germany was leading 2-0. Despite this header goal in the second half by England's Matthew Upson, Germany went on to win the game 4-1, eliminating England from World Cup competition. Stay with us. City News has more of our special coverage of Toronto's G20 summit. We'll have the latest from the detention center and a look from inside the red zone coming up.
Congratulations, Murdoch. Another one solved.
Murdoch Mysteries, 9 tonight on City TV.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you in part by the new Flow 93.5. The new Flow 93.5, for those in the flow.
Hairstyles come and go. But to get the most out of every style, you want a shampoo that gives you thicker looking hair. Dirt and oil can build up on your scalp, leaving your hair looking thin. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance Shampoo has a cleansing hydrosync formula designed to remove that buildup for a healthy looking scalp, leaving your hair that's free of visible flakes and fuller and thicker looking. Satisfaction guaranteed. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance. Respect the scalp. Get the hair.
I'm Pam, here with the Rogers Home Phone Challenge. Join all of the Canadians who've switched to Rogers Classic Value Plan for everyday low pricing on their home phone and savings every month.
If you haven't switched yet, you're probably paying too much. I mean, we're saving a lot now, each month.
With Rogers, I know I'm always getting a great price every day.
And switching was easy. I made one phone call and Rogers took care of everything else.
Take the home phone challenge and see why over 100,000 Canadians have switched. Call the number on your screen now. You'll get the same reliability, plus 2 calling features of your choice, and 500 North American long-distance minutes, with no contract, no gimmicks, and no hassles. Just call today.
It was so easy.
I only wish we did it sooner.
What are you waiting for? Find out how much you can save. Go online and take the home phone challenge today, or call the number on your screen right now to switch to Rogers Home Phone.
Imagine finding a solution like PGX. PGX simply and effectively balances blood sugar, lowers cholesterol, and addresses one of the core reasons behind weight gain. Learn more about the science at pgx.com.
There's a better way to get rid of odors on hard-to-wash fabrics. For all things you can't wash, freshen it with Febreze. Febreze eliminates odors and leaves a light, fresh scent. Oh. It's a breath of fresh air.
The standoff between police and rioters continues at this moment. We're live next to Roger Peterson, who's speaking with the detainees as they are being released outside the temporary holding cells on Eastern Avenue. Roger.
That's right, Gord. Take a look behind me. You can see police have now stood down here. They had a heavy presence before. The public safety unit was here, but most of them have now moved on to other locations. There's still a group of demonstrators as well across the street, but right now everything is quiet. It has been for most of the last little while. We've still seen a couple of arrests, but the other thing we have seen is a lot of people who are being released right now, and one of them is Winnie Small, who is from Kitchener. And Winnie, thank you very much for joining us. You just walked out of there. How do you feel?
Tired, hungry, thirsty, angry, sad, a whole lot of things.
What happened? Where were you picked up and what happened?
I was picked up last night at the jail of Solidarity. We were arrested between like 1 and 1:30 after we were essentially blocked in by rows of riot cops all around. We were asked to leave. We asked how we could leave. So they made a bit of a space. Some of us were able to leave, but others, like, we wanted to sit together. And so, according to police, we were walking too slow, I suppose, and so we were blocked off and we were all arrested.
And what did, how did the arrest happen? Was it peaceful? Did they just lead you away?
Yeah, we did, like, we offered no resistance. We just went peacefully. We were zip-tied. Cuffed by zip ties. We had our bags searched, ID taken, so on and so forth. And
now, were you charged with anything of it?
The charge was breach of peace, which is actually not a charge at all. It's just something that enables them to hold us for up to 24 hours.
And what do you think when they hear they were going to charge you with breach of peace?
I knew it wasn't a criminal charge, and so I would just probably be out. I figured it would only be a few hours, not like 16, 17 that it has been.
Do you feel demonstrators got their point across through all this?
I hope so. I know that last night seemed to be well covered by media, the events of last night. I hope word got across is essentially that a lot of the arrests that have taken place have been people who haven't even broken any laws, and in some cases haven't even been protesters.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for talking to us. We'll let you go home, have a shower, and get out of this area. Thanks very much. That's Winnie Small, one of the demonstrators who was picked up last night, just released literally a few minutes ago from the detention center here on Eastern. I'll send it back to you now, Gordon.
Okay, Roger, thank you. Francis D'Souza is on the move and is live now at Queen and Spadina, where tensions are still running high. Francis.
Yeah, and Gord, as you remember from yesterday, this was one of the scenes of a boiling point during yesterday, very violent confrontations with police. So what's happened is all the cyclists from King and Bay, where we were came up to Queen, moved along Queen. Police tried to hold them at York Street, but some of the cyclists then got smart and they tried to move around police by going through Osgood Hall. So police relented, let them continue along Queen here, but right now police will not let them proceed any further. The cyclists want to head to Queen and Dufferin, which is the headquarters of the mobilization committees, and they want to go there to support. There is a rally apparently going on over there, but police will not let them go past Spadina right now. So what they're going to try to do is force them to go north. Whether these cyclists and the rest of the people who have now joined this protest want to do that, we don't know if that's going to happen. Police have made their way to block off southbound Spadina as well as westbound Queen here. So really the only way for them to go is north. And the tone has changed a little bit. We've seen a couple people go up to the front line of police, try to test them a little bit. Police haven't flinched yet, so we're going to wait here and see what happens. Gord?
All right, Francis, thank you. Day 2 of the G20 summit, tensions still running high. Needless to say, this is creating a lot of discussion online. Let's see a sampling of that now as we go live to Chris Reyes.
A lot is the right word there, Gord. I mean, I think it's fair to say that most Torontonians were watching this last night and, of course, inciting a reaction. And with that reaction, they felt they needed to have their voices heard. And guess what? They're putting all of those comments online. And that's what's really been interesting about the conversations that I've been watching. If you take a look at what people are saying on my Facebook page, as you can see, lots of comments. Some people saying that the people who cause the damage are not Torontonians at all. Edgar here says, if you're really a peaceful protesters and have a valid argument to voice, you should not be hiding your face in a crowd. Another one through my Twitter page saying that the idiots using black bloc tactics were determined to cause mayhem. Groups like that are hard to control. These are some of the comments that we've been getting on Facebook and on Twitter. And another interesting thing, Gord, is that with social media so present in this summit is that, as I said, a lot of the protesters taking the media into their own hands, reporting when they're arrested, reporting when they see riot cops, for example, to make sure that everybody they know knows exactly what's going on, helping them to organize as well. Gord?
Thank you, Chris. Now let's go live to Tara Weber, who gives us a look inside the red zone. Tara.
Gord, it's a completely different atmosphere in here in Escondo Building today at Blue Jays Way in front. Yesterday, it was really quiet, almost eerie, as most people had fled for the entire weekend or were holed up in their apartments just watching and listening to what was happening outside in the city. It is a lot calmer today. There is still a huge police presence outside, and we can hear sirens and see a lot of helicopters circling. And today, a lot more traffic. We've seen a lot of buses along Front Street towards the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, as well as a number of diplomat vehicles following behind them. And today, many residents are also out in the street looking. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a huge line of cops here right along the fence. Yeah, it's not a very good view, but they're very strategically placed along the fence. No one's getting through, and that's making residents feel very secure. They're out there, they're talking to cops, showing pictures to each other, and sharing.
Obviously, we lost our Skype connection there. It froze up. We'll get back to Tara a little later on. Stay with City News for more of our special coverage of Toronto's G20 summit, the latest from the streets, and a look at the legal consequences of the mass arrests. That's coming up.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
Oral health advice from BT and Oral-B.
Patients ask how to get that clean feeling from the dentist at home. I recommend Oral-B electric brushes. They'll give you that dentist clean feeling at home and remove more plaque than a manual brush.
Visit breakfasttelevision.ca for more tips, reviews, and a chance to win $10,000 towards a dream holiday. From BT and Oral-B, power of a dentist's smooth, clean feeling.
Nothing matches that dentist level of clean. But imagine if you could get that dentist smooth, clean feeling every time you brush at home. You can with Oral-B rechargeable brushes. They clean in ways a regular manual brush can't, surrounding each tooth to remove up to twice as much plaque. For a dentist smooth, clean feeling every day, move on from a manual brush to Oral-B rechargeable brushes. Satisfaction guaranteed.
At Chevrolet, we're treating you like family.
During the GM employee pricing event, you pay the same price we do, with up to $14,000 in price adjustments, plus 0% purchase financing up to 60 months on select models. It's time to get in on the deal. The GM employee pricing event is on now for a limited time at your Chevrolet dealer.
I finished my questionnaire for eHarmony on September 6th, and I was matched up with Lee on October 2nd.
We both were like, I'm so excited when I saw your profile. I wanted to get to that communication.
Find out who you're matched with. Log on and review your matches for free. eHarmony.ca.
Our G20 Summit special continues. We're joined live now by OPP Commissioner Julian Fantino. We've never seen anything like this in the streets of Toronto. Police cars being set on fire, damage to property, etc., and everything that went along with it. When you saw this happening, what were your thoughts?
Well, my heart kind of sank, but I also knew that the police would, in the end, handle it, and the police are, in fact, doing just that. And, you know, we've never seen this kind of activity. The numbers of world leaders converging as they have, both in Huntsville and then in Toronto with the G20, but it was more like G40 or G50 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So the challenges were enormous, and the amount of security that needed to be put in place taxed everybody's resources. But you know, at the end, no one expected to see this kind of mayhem. We started out calling them hooligans and other very appropriate adjectives, but this morning, after being better informed about what all is going on, speaking with our OPP officers in particular, I kind of thought that this was more like organized criminals. But now, looking back at it all, I think it's urban terrorism. These people came here with the sole purpose of creating harm, to injure people, to create nothing but mayhem and havoc, destroy property, hurt people, and to that end, it's more than just criminality.
I guess the sad part is there are many people out there, protesters, who have a legitimate point to make. They're upset about this or that government policy, but they get lumped in with the people who chose violence as an agenda. And that's the upsetting part of this whole thing.
Well, you know, the planning for this, the G8 and G20 has been going on for well over a year. It's encompassed a number of police agencies, the RCMP, Toronto Police, OPP, Peel, you name it. And it also includes the military and many other public service agencies as well. But you know, no one would have thought that things would escalate to this degree when you have people who converge on a community, planning to do the kind of harm. It isn't just about criminality. It's if they had their way, they would have burned the community down.
But again, back to my point, Julian, is you got legitimate people there protesting, and yet you have people like the Black Bloc and other anarchists who get in the middle of it and start inciting violence. So the people with a legitimate point to make don't get to make that point.
Well, you're right, because the whole planning purpose, the purpose of our planning was to facilitate lawful assembly, lawful demonstrations, and all of that was in place. Unfortunately, those lawful demonstrations were hijacked, if you will, by a group that basically immersed themselves in those activities and became what in essence turned out to be a whole lot of lawlessness, and that is the issue today, that people planning any kind of activity, demonstrations, lawful demonstrations, have to be absolutely certain that they're not going to be infiltrated by these very, very criminal elements.
A lot of the people who were detained for one reason or another, be they violent protesters or just people with a point to make who got swept up in the takedowns, felt that the police reaction was heavy-handed and over the top.
Well, you know, there'll be all kinds of Monday morning quarterbacking going on, second guessing and whatever. But I can speak for the OPP officers that I've been speaking with and have exchanged comments with, and I can tell you they faced grave danger themselves, grave personal danger. They faced very ugly circumstances and situations. All they tried to do is preserve the peace, as have all other police officers deployed in these circumstances. And to their credit, some of them have worked through like 70-odd hours. They were deployed up in Huntsville and came right down to Toronto and willingly put themselves in harm's way.
Was there a strategy to, for want of a better expression, take back the streets? Because yesterday seemed to be the day of protest, marred by violence, unfortunately. But today, at Queen and Spadina, for example, the sound cannons being moved into that area. Today, it seemed like the police decided to take back the streets and took the initiative. Is that right?
I believe that what in fact has taken place is the most appropriate approach that we can all take, and that is to go and ensure that we preserve the peace, to hold people accountable that yesterday created so much mayhem. And that's in essence what's been happening today. Today is a day of accountability for those who chose to come here, who plan to come here, to not only disrupt the summit, but to attack property, to vandalize property, to attack innocent citizens, and as well attack our police officers who very bravely, I think, held their own and are doing a fantastic job. I'm certainly very proud of all of them, and this whole initiative is integrated. I mean, we are working collaboratively across all sectors of law enforcement, all the different agencies, and it's a fantastic response under very difficult and trying circumstances.
A unique situation, not only for Toronto Police, but for the OPP, RCMP, and all of the other services involved. So this also was a learning experience, if you will?
Well, they always are, and we look forward to having a debrief so as we can identify the things that we've done very well and also see how we can improve ourselves going forward. But the one thing that has impressed me, and you know, I've been around a few years now, is the amount of collaboration, the integration, the sharing, the kind of work that we've been able to do across agencies, knowing full well our strengths and our weaknesses, how we've been able to blend all that together. And I think Canadians generally, not just up in Huntsville or in Toronto, but Canadians generally and our political leaders who called this summit, if you will, to happen, they can be very proud of the commitment, the effort that our men and women in law enforcement, the military and others have made to preserve the peace, to keep the world leaders safe during their stay here and put a damper into anarchy and urban terrorism.
A lot of criticism about the amount of money that was spent on this, over $1 billion, but you obviously, from your position, are going to defend it, saying this is money well spent.
Well, you know, I can't really give you a breakdown as to how that $1 billion shakes out. The only thing I can tell you is that when we approached the planning, we were and have been always very mindful of the taxpayer burden in all of this. So we've done our utmost best to put together a program that is effective, efficient, a security program that is effective and efficient, and will do the job. And I feel that we've done that.
Yeah, you were the chief in York, chief in Toronto, chief in London. Now you're the OPP commissioner. You're very well known in this city. To people who are wondering who's right, who's wrong here, what would you like to say to the people of Toronto after what we've seen over the last few days?
Well, I think that no matter what one feels about any given issue, demonstrating lawfully is something that we all aspire to uphold and to promote and to support, certainly as law enforcement and as a free and democratic society. That's who we are as a Canadian people. What I think everyone has to take exception to is the amount of planning and initiatives that were undertaken by those who sought to come and create lawlessness, to attack the summit in whatever way, to, in essence, create urban terrorism. So this is where we need to turn our focus and our attention. And if you will, we need to make sure that those people are held accountable, and we need to praise the law and order folks for holding it together.
Commissioner, thank you very much for taking the time to come in, and good luck to you and your men.
Thank you, Gord.
All right. We have more of our City News special coverage of Toronto's G20 summit coming up. We'll bring you up to date with the latest from the summit as well as from the streets. We'll be right back.
on the sidewalk or be arrested.
"100 Questions." Season finale, 10:30 Thursday on City TV.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you in part by Beck Taxi. We're always there because we're everywhere.
Does your hair color feel as good as it looks? It will with Natural Instincts. It's clinically proven. 80% of women agreed that Natural Instincts made their hair feel softer. Want feel-good color? Get 10-minute Natural Instincts. It's all good.
Your sunbeams, they blinded me and left me standing here now.
Find out how Orlando and iTravel 2000 can make you smile. Visit our Orlando Superstore online, plus earn double Petra points on your Orlando vacation, and enter to win a trip to Orlando. Call now or visit us at iTravel2000.com/smile.
Flakes are finished with new CoverGirl Lash Blast Length. The Elasta Nylon formula flexes without flaking, so women prefer it 4-to-1, and lashes look up to 80% longer. Get new Lash Blast Length from Easy Breezy Beautiful CoverGirl.
It's amazing the power of a great embrace. Introducing Venus Embrace Disposables, the only disposable razor with 5 blades surrounded by a ribbon of moisture. It's our closest shave from a disposable razor for your closest moments. Venus Embrace, now available in disposables.
Gucci by Gucci Sport, the new fragrance.
You can get a lot of water where you least expect it, like in here. This detergent has this much cleaning ingredients. The rest is water. But with Tide, you get more cleaning ingredients. More than twice as much. So that you get an outstanding Tide Clean. Tide, you pay for detergent, you get more detergent.
Final Summit Showdown. Protesters arrested by the hundreds.
We should not be held hostage by a group of violent demonstrators.
As the battle for our streets enters the last day.
It'll continue until we're satisfied that we've completed our mission.
It's been a long day. It's a mess.
Picking up the pieces.
It's dumb. Losers. They're losers. We're going to pay for this.
It made me absolutely sick to my stomach that this could happen in my city.
How Toronto is rebuilding after a weekend of chaos.
If you want to protest, just do it peacefully. Don't damage people's property.
Good evening and welcome to Hour 2 of our City News G20 Summit Special. One of the high points of tension on day 2 of this summit has been Eastern Avenue near the Eastern Detention Center. Roger Peterson is there live. Roger.
That's right, Gord. You can hear behind me. Take a look. All these people applauding as more of the protesters who have been picked up in the past 24 hours are being released and then walking out behind this line of police over here, which is actually noticeably smaller, that group of police, than what we had earlier on, just even about 45 minutes ago when there were probably 100 or so. They've moved on now to other locations. Now, this is a very quiet scene here, but it's a far different cry from earlier today, this morning to be exact, when several protesters were arrested. The anarchists may have run amok yesterday, but today, police were striking back.
Get on the sidewalk or be arrested.
Plainclothes officers screeching up in unmarked vehicles and plunging into the crowd to grab specific protesters, believed to be Black Bloc members. This morning's events were a continuation of the overnight sweep that targeted protesters at a similar rally outside the center.
If you do not leave, you will get arrested.
And at other locations throughout the city. It also brought to an abrupt end the peaceful march that was supposed to show solidarity for the several hundred who have been arrested so far. Some of whom were released to the cheers of the crowd.
Cops did this to me. Yeah.
What were you doing when they picked you up? Can you describe the conditions in there, please?
Look, I don't really want to talk to anyone right now.
Please, can you stand with us?
But shortly thereafter, the arrest started. Police even using muzzle blasts, which is a mix of talcum powder and trace amounts of pepper spray, to clear out the remaining demonstrators. Even though most of the protesters have dispersed, police are still marching down the street to clear it, much to the anger of many of the people who live on this street, feeling frustrated about what's going on. So how do you feel about seeing something like this?
I just think it's really ridiculous. I think Stephen Harper's out of his mind spending the kind of money he does. It's not right. Shame on you people!
For other residents, it was a chance to record a piece of history, one they won't soon forget.
Back on the sidewalk,
Tensions here have definitely eased. Interesting thing, a lot of the people we talked to were picked up on breach of the peace, which really isn't a charge. I haven't heard of any serious charges being laid against any of the people that have been walking out the door. Live on Eastern, I'm Roger Peterson. That's back to you, Gord.
All right, Roger, thank you for that. Happening right now, U.S. President Barack Obama is speaking at the Metro Toronto Convention Center as the G20 wraps up.
In our time. In London last year, we took unprecedented action to prevent an even larger economic catastrophe, to put our economies on the path to recovery, and to begin reforming our financial system so that the crisis like the one we were emerging from never happened again. In Pittsburgh, we went further, moving beyond the old economic cycles of boom and bust by committing our nations to a new framework for growth that's balanced and sustained, as well as specific financial reforms. Our bold action has succeeded. In the United States, we are committed, above all, to leading by example. And because of the steps that we've taken to get our economy moving, we are growing again, and this growth is beginning to translate into job creation. And we're now poised to pass the toughest financial reform since the aftermath of the Great Depression. Globally, economic contraction has given way to economic growth. Trade that had plummeted is rebounding. Emerging economies in particular are seeing impressive growth. So we have pulled ourselves back from the brink and begun to move forward with economic recovery. But, as we all know, that's not good enough. In the United States and around the world, too many people are still out of work. In too many economies, demand for goods and services is still too weak. As we've been reminded in recent months, a financial crisis in one country can have consequences far beyond its borders. And history teaches us that growth and prosperity is never guaranteed. It requires constant effort, and it requires continued leadership. So we came to Toronto with three specific goals: to make sure the global recovery is strong and durable, to continue reforming the financial system, and to address the range of global issues that affect our prosperity and security. And we've made progress in each of these areas. First, to ensure the recovery is strong and durable, we agreed to continue coordinating our efforts so we're creating jobs. That's my highest economic priority as president, and this is why we are focused on increasing global demand. Every economy is unique, and every country will chart its own unique course, but make no mistake, we are moving in the same direction. As I reiterated to my colleagues, after years of taking on too much debt, Americans cannot and will not borrow and buy the world's way to lasting prosperity. No nation should assume its path to prosperity is simply paved with exports to the United States. Indeed, I've made it clear that the United States will compete aggressively for the jobs and industries and markets of the future. And that's why I've set the goal of doubling our exports over the next 5 years, an increase that would support millions of jobs in the United States. It's why I've launched a national export initiative to help meet this goal. It's why we focused earlier this week on deepening our economic cooperation with Russia, which would benefit both of our countries, including restarting our poultry exports and accelerating our efforts to support Russia's entry into the WTO. And that's why I announced that my administration will work to resolve outstanding issues regarding the United States-Korea Free Trade Agreement by the time that I visit Korea in November. This will create new jobs and opportunity for people in both our countries and enhance America's competitiveness in the 21st century. A strong
President Barack Obama of the United States outlining the aggressive fiscal policies approved by the G20 nations today, the most aggressive policies in some 70 years for debt reduction and financial reorganization. As we mentioned, one of the high points of tension today has been near the Eastern Avenue Detention Center. There is another, King and Bay, where a protest continues, and now that has moved north to Queen and Spadina, where we believe the sound cannon may have been moved into position. Here's Francis D'Souza.
Okay, Gord, I've put on my hearing protection just in case. It's also gotten very loud here. Things have changed dramatically. So heavily armed riot officers have now essentially, what we can see, have boxed all the protesters in here. We are included in this box. So what they've been doing over the last couple of minutes, this line right here that you're looking at has been moving forward. So you're going to see in just a couple of seconds here, they're repositioning, but what they've been doing is trying to move us. We're not exactly sure where they're going to move us, but they're certainly amassing in large numbers. There are streams and streams of riot officers arriving here at the intersection of Queen and Spadina. The tone dramatically changed. At Queen and at King and Bay, it was a very peaceful protest. Cyclists then came through and wanted to go along to Queen and Dufferin, and that's when the tone of this sort of changed, not from the protesters, but from the police. A massive presence started coming, and that started inciting the crowd a little bit. So people are definitely on edge. Some people who were onlookers sort of got trapped up in this, and they tried to escape through this police line, but police wouldn't let them. So now some onlookers who just came to look and see everything are now sort of in here and trapped with everybody, including us. So you can see the defensive stance these riot officers are taking. There is 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 lines of them. I would say dozens and dozens, possibly 100 right here, just on the east side of the intersection of Queen and Spadina. So once again, the situation is boiling over. Looks like, again, they're establishing a line. I anticipate they're not going to obviously box everybody in there. What they're trying to do is clear this intersection. They don't want people here anymore. There is a backup of streetcars. There are a lot of people in here. They're actually going down the street here.
Francis, can you hear me okay?
I can, Gord, yes.
Okay, now we keep hearing persistent rumors that police are about to use tear gas in that area to get rid of the protesters that are near the position where you are. And police are taking a very aggressive stance here.
They are. Now, we just got boxed in. Well, they're telling us to move. Okay, you know what's happened, Gord? Here we are, and we are right behind the line. So what they've done is effectively split half the group, including us. and you can see they are armed here with what we saw before, which were the blaster guns. So what they've effectively done is cleared half this intersection. So we are now on the north side of Queen and Spadina. So they've done a good job at trying to clear this crowd, but now they have to completely clear the crowd that's behind us. So if you turn around here, Alfie, you can see that all this crowd that was in the intersection was now pushed back. So
I guess the idea, Francis, I guess the idea is divide and conquer. They want the protesters, or at least the crowd, to be broken up into smaller groups. That way they're easier to deal with.
They're easier to clear. So once again, they're taking another defensive stand, and I anticipate that they're going to start, see, they're moving this side of the street back right now. So this is what's going to happen. So this is going to be, it's just their tactic. They're just going to move everyone back.
Are they saying anything to you? Are they saying anything directly to you?
Move, 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 as they march towards people. So now they've cornered some people onto the sidewalk there by McDonald's. You can see they're essentially moving people onto the sidewalk. So I assume what they're going to try to do is get everybody, and I think we're next, onto the sidewalk and funnel everyone back.
This was the
he
area.
Just said step back.
Francis, you were in that area yesterday. It was particularly tense. You had police cruisers on fire and a lot of damage to area businesses, and one wonders why this is again the focus of high tension.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've wondered that myself, why the Queen Street West area. I mean, today it just happened that the cyclists who were at King and Bay wanted to get further along Queen to Dufferin, to the headquarters of the community mobilization offices. We've heard since then that police did not want them going there because what we've heard is they have raided that office and have made some arrests there. So right now they have stopped the crowd here and they're trying to move and clear everyone here. Also, Gord, this is the third time there've actually been a standoff here. Last night, live at 11 o'clock on our City News special, again, I was at this intersection where there are a crowd of people gathered, and once again, this was the point of action. So it happens to be Queen and Spadina for whatever reason.
All right, Francis, we're going to bring in Cynthia Mulligan and Olivia Chow into the conversation. Cynthia is at the Direct Energy Center, the International Media Center. Olivia Chow, of course, represents that area where you are now. Cynthia, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Gord. Olivia and I have been watching Francis's live reaction, and you've been watching with horror. What do you make of all this? This is the heart of your riding.
Yeah, it's this is a city and a country of peace. To see this kind of, riot gear, guns, it's pretty horrifying. And last night, watching the footage of police cars being burned and windows being broken and people with masks running around, it is so unnecessary, especially the G20 summit is now finished. And judging from all the media statements about what has been agreed to, is all voluntary, meaning that there is no real solution on climate change, on making poverty history, on trying to reduce the tax subsidies to the oil and gas industry. And then they basically coming in for a photo op, and $1 billion later, and the fake lake and all these demonstrators.
Take a look at these riot police.
Oh my God! And this is our tax dollar at work.
Yes, Gord?
Can you ask Olivia what she would have done at the G20?
What would you have liked to have done? What would you have liked to have seen accomplished at the G20? What should have been done differently?
Well, what I would have liked to see is not have the G20 in Toronto in the first place. Given that it is already here, I want to make sure that the poor store owners, that windows are all broken, should be compensated, of course.
Which the federal government has said they will not be.
That's right. And then if they lose business, then we should compensate them because it's no fault of their own. On this G20, on the communique, what I would love to see is that some real action on climate change. We have to deal with it. Think about the oil spills, the tar sands that are polluting the atmosphere, dolphins, turtles, pelicans covered with oil. This is the time for real action on climate change, and yet there's nothing on it, right, today?
It really certainly did not appear to be on the agenda.
Cynthia, we're sensing some movement down at Queen and Spadina. I'm going to bring Francis back into the picture now. Francis, you got a lot of people moving around there. What's your sense of what's going on?
You know what it feels like, Gord? It feels like you're in a room with walls that are essentially moving in on you. That's what's happening. So we are sandwiched now between these riot squad officers and those riot squad officers. And over here, we can't go this way because, of course, the TTC fences are up here that prevent you from actually crossing onto the streetcar tracks. So right now, we don't know where we're going, but we know that they are going to try to squeeze us somewhere. My instinct is saying that they're probably going to force us that way. They're going to let us off that way. Once again, I mean, you know, the police want to do this and minimize and prevent anyone from being injured, so they are going to do this in an orderly fashion. It's been very organized. It's been very coordinated.
Francis, the people there, if they wanted to leave, if they wanted to go home and get away from the scene, could they?
You know, funny you ask, because I've heard a lot of people say, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home now. There's nowhere for them to go. So right now, people just have to wait until we are corralled out, essentially. So right now, we're just waiting to see where they're going to push us, which way they're going to make us go. And we have to just sit and wait, and you know, we're like everyone else now, our crew of 3 right here.
Now, you were there yesterday and you could sense the change in tension. It was palpable. Are you getting that same feeling today?
Yeah, and it happened right here at the intersection again of Queen and John when the cyclists came, when they started to see all the heavily armed officers. They started to see some of the riot squad officers with guns, with the blast deployment weapons. They saw an ETF vehicle with what looked like a big black shield. Initially, people thought that was going to be the sound cannon device. I don't believe that is the sound cannon device. But again, people started getting a little antsy, as you can understand, especially since the majority, I would say, of these people here have cameras. They're the onlookers, the curiosity factor that have drawn them to these protests. And I keep wondering why people come, but they're here to take pictures. And now they've essentially got caught up into this into really what was a very small protest.
All right, Francis, hang on there. We're going to get back to you in a minute. In the meantime, we want to go live to Dwight Drummond, who has noticed an increased police presence at Dundas Square. Dwight?
That's right, Gord. The whole black bloc tactic that protesters use, they engage police in one location and then draw in police resources and then attack in another. That's what happened at Yonge and Dundas yesterday. Police seem to be ready for that right now. If you look into the square, we've just had an influx of police officers. About 40 of them have just come in on bikes, and from my vantage point at our building here, I can actually see them stopping and questioning some protesters right in front of the garage here. Now, we haven't seen an influx of protesters, but in the last little while, Gord, we've seen a lot of police officers come into Yonge Dundas Square, and it looks like they're making sure that a repeat of yesterday's violence does not happen again, while other officers are down busy at Queen and Spadina. Gord?
Okay, Dwight, thank you. So you would think that on this day, day 2 of the G20, when it's wrapped up, the closing statements have already been made, many of the world's leaders have already departed this city, that things would die down, but it seems tensions are increasing. Yonge Dundas Square, Queen and Spadina, and Eastern Avenue near the detention center. We'll bring you the very latest from all 3 spots when we come back.
Fresh, minty, handsome.
Oh, minty.
Mindy? Beautiful, isn't it?
Breathtaking. Fresh.
For a fresh breath feeling that lasts up to 5 times longer, there's new Scope Outlast.
I'm Pam, here with the Rogers Home Phone Challenge. Join all of the Canadians who've switched to Rogers Classic Value Plan for everyday low pricing on their home phone and savings every month.
If you haven't switched yet, you're probably paying too much. I mean, we're saving a lot now, each month.
With Rogers, I know I'm always getting a great price every day.
And switching was easy. I made one phone call and Rogers took care of everything else.
Take the Home Phone Challenge and see why over 100,000 Canadians have switched. Call the number on your screen now. You'll get the same reliability, plus 2 calling features of your choice, and 500 North American long-distance minutes, with no contract, no gimmicks, and no hassles. Just call today.
It was so easy.
I only wish we did it sooner.
What are you waiting for? Find out how much you can save. Go online and take the Home Phone Challenge today, or call the number on your screen right now to switch to Rogers Home Phone.
Come on, kids. Wow. That was your first bike, remember?
Dirt takes its toll on things you cherish. Vim Cream with microparticles lifts dirt easily.
Hey, Mom, look at my glasses.
Bringing back the clean. And a new lease on life. It's amazing what comes clean with Vim Cream.
I can't believe we're missing the soccer.
Relax. I signed up for Rogers On Demand online. They get all the games live. It's live on your phone, too.
And no one's the wiser.
That's right. Just you. And me.
Only Rogers customers can watch the FIFA World Cup live online, on their phones, or on demand on Channel 100 for the games they miss. Sign up today.
As we told you just before the break, 3 points of tension remain in the city on day 2 of the G20, although the summit has wrapped up. They are Eastern Avenue near the detention center, Queen and Spadina, where riot police are engaged in what appears to be a pretty tense situation, trying to get the crowd to disperse. And also Young Dundas Square. Tensions there have ratcheted up quite a bit in the last several minutes. Dwight Drummond is watching it from upstairs. Dwight.
And Gord, with all the violence here yesterday, police really weren't taking any chances today. They swooped in on the U of T campus and did a raid this morning, and they're also using a new tactic to try to catch out-of-town anarchists.
That's reason enough to arrest him, I think, on a day like today, a day after the protests we saw yesterday.
3 Quebec men under arrest after police allege they discovered a virtual anarchist protest kit in their car, including Molotov cocktails and homemade bulletproof vests.
That's exactly what they should be doing, is stopping this before it becomes an explosion on Queen Street, 2 blocks from here. Yeah. We live in the neighborhood, and I'm glad to see this.
Just a few blocks north, a police raid at the University of Toronto. About 70 people arrested here in this raid. The majority of them appear to be from Quebec, and they were staying here at U of T at the Graduate Students Union.
We've seized bottles with unknown substances in it. We've seized black clothing, bricks, sharpened sticks, items that you definitely do not need to spend any time in Toronto with.
Those arrested appear to be members of the Quebec-based anti-capitalist group CLAC. They're being blamed for some of yesterday's violence.
I don't know why I'm being arrested. Back up.
Officers are roaming the streets today in unmarked police vans, searching for them. And police say they have pictures of the destructive protesters who did not cover their faces yesterday. Their pictures are being circulated, and they're being actively sought. Gord?
Okay, Dwight. There's a special court set up on Finch Avenue to handle the hundreds of people charged in the summit-related clashes over the past couple of days. Andrea Puno with what some of them are saying about their treatment.
I'm so angry right now. She did nothing wrong. She wasn't dressed in black. She wasn't part of a group. She was going to a peaceful protest that she had every right to be at.
An emotional reunion more than 24 hours after being arrested and detained.
I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
I was on the GO train, and they came onto the GO train and took me off of the GO train and arrested me on the platform. I had a gas mask with me. They took us off the train. A woman police officer brought me over. She asked for my bag. She searched through, found the gas mask, and they placed me under arrest.
18-year-old Natasha Boris says she was on her way to a protest when police intervened yesterday morning. She claims the gas mask was for her own protection and never thought it would land her in a prison cell.
There's bathrooms with no doors. You're expected to urinate in front of hallways or passing officers that could come along. I was left by myself for 12 hours.
Dozens of people arrived here at the courthouse on Finch. We saw about 100 people inside the doors lining the hallways, waiting to bail out their loved ones who were arrested in yesterday's mass protests.
One thing is upholding the law, but another thing is
is when the police cross that boundary and it becomes an attack on citizens.
I saw some people get arrested and it was completely unjust. The police were just sort of going after anybody, whether they were doing anything wrong or not. People who were just sitting, even in the designated free speech zone in Queen's Park.
Police arrived by the busload, securing the courthouse where about 200 people await bail. There's talk this building could now become a target for protesters who are accusing police of using excessive force during protests.
It's quite shocking. I've never experienced anything like this. I've never even heard really of over 500 arrests in a weekend. It's a first time for me. If the police suspect you of fitting a description of someone, or if you're a suspicious looking type of character, they have reason to believe that you've done something or you're in the process of doing something, they can stop you, detain you, and question you.
I think it was very excessive. I don't think I look like a threat to anybody.
We can expect a strong police presence will remain here guarding the perimeter of the courthouse until everyone posts bail. On Finch near the 400, Andrea Puno, City News.
Now we're getting updated reports from Queen and Spadina, the other point of high tension as G20 Day 2 continues. Kevin Meisner from 680 says that he and a couple of other reporters and a cameraman have volunteered to be arrested just so they can get out of that area. He says they're okay. They're going to treat us, or arrest us, and potentially target a tear gas this crowd. We'll see what happens when we come back. Stay with us. Our City News special will continue.
100 Questions. Season finale, 10:30 Thursday on City TV.
You're safe now, because you cry. Don't act like a crybaby. Help me out here!
An all-new season of Hell's Kitchen, 7 Tuesday on City TV.
If you want smooth, healthy-looking skin, you should know the facts. Your skin has a natural moisture barrier that helps defend against external elements. When that barrier is disrupted, cracks form, allowing dirt, bacteria, and cosmetics to enter. Canadian dermatologists recommend Spectro cleansers. Spectro's dual-action gel deep cleans pores to lift dirt and oil while protecting and replenishing your skin's moisture barrier. For smooth, healthy-looking skin, use Spectro every day. This has been Medifax for Spectro.
Hairstyles come and go. But to get the most out of every style, you want a shampoo that gives you thicker looking hair. Dirt and oil can build up on your scalp, leaving your hair looking thin. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance Shampoo has a cleansing hydrosync formula designed to remove that buildup for a healthy looking scalp, leaving you hair that's free of visible flakes and fuller and thicker looking. Satisfaction guaranteed. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance. Respect the scalp. Get the hair.
Great breaking news from Don Valley North Toyota. Receive a $500 incentive on top of 0% financing for 48 months on the 2010 Corolla. See all our great deals at DonValleyNorthToyota.com.
How can we convince more people to come to the game?
No brainer. Free peanuts.
Let's assume that's a great idea.
Thank you.
What peanuts? Steve here ate them all.
What? Steve, that is a preposterous accusation.
Steve, we have it on video.
Oh, well, that could be anyone.
You just ate one, didn't you?
Yes.
Jays baseball is great live, even without free peanuts.
Olay goes beyond everyday clean to a deep micro clean. Olay Deep Cleansers reach the microparticles of dirt some basic cleansers can leave behind. For a clean so deep it's micro clean. Olay Deep Cleansers.
Welcome back to our Summit Special. The summit is over, but a confrontation continues between police and protesters. Francis D'Souza is live at Queen and Spadina with the ongoing stare down. Francis, what do you have for us now?
Okay, I'm incredibly worried for myself and for our crew here because we don't know what's going to happen. I just talked to Kevin Meisner myself. He went to the line, volunteered to be arrested. Police took him back. They searched his bag and they told him to get out of here. So he was able to get out. Now, we just talked to some of the media that are trapped in this area too. but we don't know what we're going to do. We don't know if they're going to offer us. Some of them did talk to some of the officers here, and they did tell us that there is a plan to let people go by, but we don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, right now everyone's sort of cordoned in. I know you got trapped in this. How do you feel about this?
I was just here to take pictures, and now I'm trapped by what looks like the SWAT team, and this is kind of ridiculous. And there's people that are going to start up with them, and then we're all going to get in trouble.
Right, yeah. So you can see now the crowd is getting a little antsy here. They want to be let out. And you know what? A lot of people are like him. Let's move you away from this bicycle here. So we got one person being arrested here. We saw multiple arrests on the other side as well. So again, Gord, this situation is tense. We don't know what's going to happen. Are you watching? It's a little crazy here. So I mean, you kind of feel like cattle, and you're feeling boxed in. And you know, I mean, the sense of panic within yourself is quite intense, because no one knows right now what's going to happen. No one knows what police are thinking. You know, we see like here's
police surrounded us.
So I mean,
we can't do nothing. The cops are like 10 feet away from us in every direction. We can't do nothing.
You know, we hear people, Gord, on the phone, you know, who are panicking. People here are saying it's the police that are causing this tense situation. So, yeah, Gord.
So, Francis, I understand you're a reporter, and it's all about the news and it's all about the pictures. But trust me, if things get any more difficult than they are now, volunteer to get yourself arrested and get out of there if you think there's going to be trouble.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that we will do that. And, you know, when you come to cover some of these events, you don't expect it to escalate. And I think this is what the people here didn't think it would escalate, especially since no one here has been causing any problems. I mean, you know, people did sit down in the intersection, and then people were attracted to that. So people, you know, essentially were blocking traffic. So right now, that's the crime that people have committed. They came in here to protest, and it looks like we're going to be boxed in a little again here. So we're going to stay at the front of this line. Hopefully, they will let us through, but who knows? We'll see.
I think what they're doing. Let me bring in Mark Mendelson from former homicide squad officer. Are they trying to get people into smaller and smaller groups so they can disperse them? Is that the plan here?
Well, I think that's exactly what they're trying to do. I think they learned from lessons that took place yesterday when groups broke off on their own in small splinter groups, and then we had all the vandalism and all the groups running around, you know, including the Black Bloc. And I think this time what they're trying to do is to have everybody controlled, break them up into smaller, manageable groups where they can disperse them from that point and try and avoid that sort of mayhem that took place yesterday afternoon.
Pretty aggressive stance, though, the police are taking. I mean, it's frightening for, you know, a bystander to look out and see police in riot gear staring you down. You know, so how would you react?
Well, I think at this point, you know, the posture that they're taking is all part of the tactic of crowd control. You're setting up a deterrent factor for the people to consider. I think if you comply, if you listen to the officers at this point, then you'll get out of there safely. What they don't want to happen is have everybody break off like they did yesterday, and then we have mayhem occurring again. In terms of the riot gear themselves, well, you know, history dictates how the police react. And we had a lot of vandalism yesterday. We had cars burning. They don't want a repeat of that again. We're near the end of this summit, and we're near the end of this demonstration. They want everyone to go home peacefully. They want store owners to come to work tomorrow and find their buildings intact.
We're seeing Francis is being allowed out of that area along with the cameraman. Where are you going, Francis?
I don't know. Can you just tell us which way we should go? We're just going to get out. And Gord, we do have our own security officer with us, so we just walked out. So what I did is... Oh, hang on. So I witnessed, we saw a CTV camera person... Okay, we saw a CTV camera person be arrested. So we're not sure what's happening. Seems to be a man in charge here. I'll find out, Gord. I'm not going to do this on TV, so I'll throw it back to you.
Okay, we'll catch up in a couple of minutes. I asked you this earlier on, that someone made a comment to me. If this had happened in Montreal, police there would have been a lot more aggressive than officers here in Toronto. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I mean, we've seen just as recently as the Canadians, Montreal Canadiens, winning the last series that they did in hockey, and the violence that took place there, and of course the Montreal Urban Police were quite aggressive in quelling that situation. I think the police collectively here, RCMP, OPP, Toronto, all the municipal forces that are here, have been really restrained, and I know people are complaining about the amount of violence that's being directed towards them, but I think they've shown tremendous restraint given what they have faced. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, nobody's paid enough money to stand there and have Molotov cocktails thrown at you, to be speared with, with signs, to have urine and feces thrown at you. They don't pay you enough money to do that, and they have an obligation to protect the city and to protect themselves. I can assure you, none of the officers that are here from all over the country want to be here. They can think of 1,000 other things they'd rather be doing this weekend, from sitting at home and playing with the kids to watching soccer, rather than be standing at Queen and Spadina and taunted. But they are professionals. I think they've acted professionally. I think that the violence and the damage has been minimal from my perspective. I was actually expecting a lot more. And if all we have at the end of the day is 5 or 6 burnt out cars and a couple of stores that have unfortunately been damaged, and we walk out of that, then this is a win for the police and a win for the city.
I asked Julian Fantino, this is continuing footage from Queen and Spadina where people are being escorted out of that area. I asked the OPP Commissioner Fantino earlier on, how much of a learning experience was this? We've never seen or done anything like this before. What's your take on that?
Well, it's absolutely true. In almost 30 years I was a police officer here in Toronto, we've never seen anything like this. And I was amazed to hear that stat yesterday, that this was the first time that the police have ever used tear gas on a crowd in the city of Toronto. And that actually surprised me. But it's a measure of how safe and calm and respectful this city is, and the police are towards the citizens. We're in a new level now. We have people coming from all over the world and other provinces who are hell-bent on creating havoc, and they've tried to do that. They've done it to some measure, and I think they've done it to the detriment of everybody who had honest beliefs and protests to get out there. That's all been lost. That's
There's
all
one
gone.
more thing. What about credibility of police as a result of this? Is their image been tarnished in any way because of this?
I don't think so at all. I think if this would have happened in Europe, I think that we would have seen very, very different reactions from the police, and we'd all be sitting there going, oh my God, why do we need a G20 here? I think they've acted admirably.
Okay. Thank you, Mark, for your time.
You're
Appreciate
more than
it.
welcome.
Okay, let's go over to Mark Daly, see what he's got going. Mark?
All right, Gord. Well, amid the violence on the streets early this morning, 2 private security guards on patrol on Queen, just east of Yonge, got a big surprise.
We were walking towards the hot dog vendor, and just before the hot dog vendor, I saw that manhole pop up, and then I saw 2 guys fly right out of it.
I couldn't believe it. We're like, 2 guys just popped out of that sewer. Wow. And then that's the thing that got to me was they left the sewer open, so anybody in the middle of the night would have fallen down through there and killed themselves for sure.
It was just before 2 this morning as confrontations between protesters and police continued downtown. When the 2 men popped out, the security guards realized they weren't city workers.
They looked like protesters or somebody. They didn't look like professionals. No, they weren't police, that's for sure.
Police were notified, and within minutes 4 people were in custody. Officers began an immediate search in the sewers to make sure other protesters weren't hiding there.
Our investigators that went down there with the infrastructure owners couldn't determine what their plans were, or what they were doing, or whether they're just using this as an access way around it or doing some intelligence gathering.
The guys climbed out of one of these manhole covers about 3 blocks from the northern edge of the security zone. Now, a lot of the manholes were welded shut closer to King Street, but not that one.
The ones that are identified as having access close to or into the convention center area, those were welded shut. Some of the other ones that we didn't identify as critical infrastructure, they weren't.
Shortly after sunrise, crews were working their way along Queen Street, welding sewer covers closed, but it turns out the intruders were sneaking up a blind alley.
If it would have been a sewer system that directly connected into the restricted access zone, that would be something we would look at as much more serious. But again, this breach was one that is not of a critical nature.
The 4 men arrested were supposed to be taken to court this afternoon. No word yet on what charges the 4 would face. Gord.
All right, Mark, thank you. Stay with City News and our special G20 coverage. We'll have more from the hot zone at Queen and Spadina, where riot police are lining the streets. We'll be right back.
100 Questions. Season finale, 10:30 Thursday on City TV. This summer, they've got a dream, and we've got the stage. Wow! America's Got Talent, 9 Tuesday on City TV.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
When you plug in a Febreze Noticeables, it's all that people notice.
I didn't even think that was possible.
I know, but there it is. Febreze, you plug into the wall.
When you plug in a Febreze Noticeables, it's all that people notice.
Wow, that is amazing.
I know, imagine. Febreze, you plug into the wall.
From Febreze comes Noticeables. Freshness you'll notice, or your money back.
I've got 495 online friends. I don't know where they are, but they're not in this room.
When you were dressing up as a woman. It's really beautiful.
Jacobs Creek Reserve, enjoyed by the world's most important wine critic.
Really? Who?
Me.
I can say a few things about Dan's character.
My character?
We all know you too well.
I got troubles, love, but not today. 'Cause they're gonna wash away. They're gonna wash away. They're gonna wash away. That's all. I'm gonna take them away.
In his closing remarks at the G20 summit, Prime Minister Stephen Harper deplored the protester violence, but says it's become an expected part of a gathering of world leaders.
We obviously deplore the actions of a few thugs, but the reality is, unfortunately, that these summits attract this element, and that has been a problem, as we know, around the world. That said, that, I think, goes a long way to explaining why we have the kind of security costs around these summits that we do.
Okay, we're joined live next by community activist Amy Go. Amy, much has been said about the closing statement, about all the economic issues and the measures that world leaders want to take. But prior to the summit, we were hearing a great deal about women's issues and maternal health. What is your take on what has transpired at the G20?
Well, unfortunately, first of all, that I don't believe that G20 was an effective forum to address the women's, the plight of women across the world.
Why?
Because 170 other countries, 72 other countries were not involved. And in fact, what they have done in terms of the measures that they were taking around austerity measures and many behind the scenes stuff around freer trade, and all those issues, privatization, will have even more negative impact on women and children around the world. And let's look at the maternity, health program that Stephen Harper was trying to promote. First of all, he didn't get the promises that he wanted from the so-called G8 leaders. And secondly, the programs that he was even promoting himself did not address the real issues impacting women in terms of the access to safe and legal abortion. And the most important thing in terms of actually raising the status of women is to address their economic situation, the right to education. If women were educated, if women were financially independent, I'm sure many of these other issues in terms of the health and of course to have safe, access to health care, their status would be much different.
Were you encouraged at all by the $1.1 billion in new money that came out there? I mean, a hell of a lot of money they were talking about.
Well, unfortunately, we also spent close to $2 billion just, in the security measures. But I think the key thing is that in terms of aid, we have cutbacks, on the areas, and then it's sort of like shuffling money around, right? At one time, it's sort of flavor of the year that we talk about AIDS, and then this year we talk about maternity health. But in total, let's look at whether we did make an impact at all across the world in terms of raising women's status. We have not done so.
Amy, thank you for taking the time to come in here and speak with us and offering your points of view.
Thank you.
All right, stay with City News, and our special G20 coverage will continue. We'll have the latest from the tension situations when we come back.
There will not be a dull moment.
The Bachelorette, 8 tomorrow on City TV. How does it feel to be one of the beautiful people? But what happens when looking good isn't enough? True Beauty, 10 tomorrow on City TV.
Fresh, minty, handsome.
Oh, minty.
Mindy? Beautiful, isn't it?
Breathtaking. Fresh.
For a fresh breath feeling that lasts up to 5 times longer, there's new Scope Outlast.
I didn't think toothpaste can really do anything to my dentures. I figured that's what you use to clean your teeth. I never thought that cleaning with toothpaste could scratch my dentures.
Instead of toothpaste, use non-abrasive Polident. Cleaning with toothpaste can leave scratches where odor-causing bacteria can settle and multiply. Polident cleans and kills 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria without scratching your dentures. Switch to non-abrasive Polident.
With Polident, I feel confident that my dentures are clean and fresh. I can't live without Polident now.
Oh, you come to give me little kisses? How about you and me have a picnic?
Sean?
Yeah, what?
We got a tea time.
Cat love. Get more with Whiskas, the highest level of protein.
Hairstyles come and go. But to get the most out of every style, you want a shampoo that gives you thicker looking hair. Dirt and oil can build up on your scalp, leaving your hair looking thin. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance Shampoo has a cleansing hydrosync formula designed to remove that buildup for a healthy looking scalp, leaving your hair that's free of visible flakes and fuller and thicker looking. Satisfaction guaranteed. New Head & Shoulders Hair Endurance. Respect the scalp. Get the hair.
The G20 summit is over, but the tension lingers. Most world leaders have already departed to their respective homes. Yesterday, as we all are very well aware, there was a lot of protester demonstration and a lot of acts of violence. Again today, there was some serious tension. The day began with mass arrests of a lot of people, a lot of suspects, people suspected of perpetrating violent acts in the city, and that happened on Eastern Avenue near the detention center. Roger Peterson is there now, and Roger, I gather things have cooled down quite a bit.
The attitude here has done a 180, Gord. You can see behind me how few police officers there actually are right now. There's only about 20 or 30 of them, and across the street behind the Rogers truck here is a group of people waiting for the protesters who were arrested, most of them on breach of peace, which really isn't a charge. You can hold people for up to 24 hours on it, though, and that's what the police have done over the last 24 hours, essentially getting a lot of people like that. They are being released one at a time, and everyone that comes out of here gets a big round of applause from the group of about 50 or 75 people who are waiting for them. So right now things have really calmed down here. A good sign for the city, Gordon.
All right, Roger, thank you. Until a short while ago, things were very tense at Queen and Spadina. That's where we find Francis D'Souza. Francis.
Until a short time ago, Gord, I didn't know if I was going to get out of that boxed-in area. So what was happening was that, if you remember, riot police were boxing us in, and then we started hearing threats of arrest. And our colleagues at 680 News, he volunteered to get arrested to get out. We sensed that the situation was going to get bad live on TV. So I asked one of the riot officers if he would let us out. I believe he recognized us, and he let us through. We were then put into the central area behind the riot squad line, where they were bringing multiple people out, bound with the plastic ties, and then we didn't know where to go because we tried to leave and they said no, you couldn't leave. So again, we didn't know at that point if we were going to be detained or arrested. So essentially what they did was I recognized one of the command officers at Toronto Police. I went up to him and I said, we're just trying to report this, we just need to leave, can you help us get out? And they said one moment. They went away. And we're looking around and we see more riot squad officers gearing up and moving in towards that line. I found another officer. I said, you know, do you mind helping us get out and escorting us out? We didn't want to walk alone, as you can understand, because as you can see, we had to walk through all of this. These are the lines of police right here who are detaining and arresting all of the people who are in that crowd. So right now we think that some of the people, all of the people there might get arrested. We don't know what's going to happen. Now, to further escalate the situation right now into the intersection here at Richmond, you can see that the cyclists who actually sort of, you can say sort of instigated all of this, are back. And now, once again, this could become a very tense situation right here at Richmond. So, you know, I've had my fun. We may try to retreat if we start seeing the riot officers come back, because we don't want to be here and get caught up once again. So we are safe, and that's the good news.
What's your sense of people being arrested there? Are we talking about bystanders, protesters, demonstrators? Who are these people who are being taken into custody?
Yeah, Gord, the majority that I can see, I would say 80, 85, maybe even 90, 95% were just bystanders who were probably in the Queen West area around the intersection. They saw a protest, they came, they took pictures. Everyone has a camera these days. They do here too. I mean, I can count multiple cameras around me. They wanted just to come and see what was going on, and they got caught up in this. We understand that a lot of these people are being charged with breach of peace. They could hold you up to 24 hours for that.
I think what they're doing, Francis, is just arresting people under that breach of peace clause so they can just get them out of the area and gain more control over the situation. Anyway, we'll get back to you in a couple of minutes. Stay where you are. As you've just seen, police are making arrests at Queen and Spadina, the latest apparent flashpoint on our streets. We'll bring you the latest developments coming up next.
An all-new season of Hell's Kitchen. 7 Tuesday on City TV.
Well, I guess it's time to rock and roll.
The name says it all.
Go check out your brand new home.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition. 8 tonight on City TV.
I got troubles, Lord, but not today. 'Cause they're gonna wash away. They're gonna wash away. They're gonna wash away. And so I'm gonna take them away.
At Chevrolet, we're treating you like family. During the GM Employee Pricing Event, you pay the same price we do, with up to $14,000 in price adjustments, plus 0% purchase financing up to 60 months on select models. It's time to get in on the deal. The GM Employee Pricing Event is on now for a limited time at your Chevrolet dealer.
Here's to our beloved Canadian summer. Like the sky. Here's to taking the first brave dip. Here's to turning those 3-day weekends into 4. Here's to dinner outdoors, the only thing you should bake, broil, or roast. And here's to squeezing in every last ounce of summer with Canada's most trusted sun care brand, as voted by Reader's Digest readers. The Canadian Coppertone Summer. Enjoy it and stay protected.
Professionals need to perform under pressure. And pressure can cause anyone's deodorant to fail. Introducing Gillette Odor Shield Antiperspirant. Unlike regular deodorants, it targets and neutralizes odor at the source. Help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. Gillette Odor Shield Antiperspirant. Also try Odor Shield technology in new body wash.
Back live to Queen and Spadina. Police apparently gaining even more control over that situation. Francis, what's happening now?
Well, Gord, we've heard that there may be reports of some kind of pepper spray being fired. We're not sure because we're way out of the crowd that was boxed in. But what you can see these are lines of police vehicles. We are hearing, Gord, down the street. We can hear the beating of the riot guards. Alfie, if you can look over here, the line are Okay, our cameraman is also in there. So that's what you're looking at right now. This is in the protest right now. In front of us, what we have is a long line of people who are essentially arrested and will be processed. So this line is coming out that alley over there. It's coming all around the bus and then through the front of the bus and to the door of the bus. So you can see this lady in her yellow sundress. And I guess she was an onlooker because she doesn't look like anyone who is a protester, and she was caught up in all this, and now she has been detained as well, along with everyone. So all these people now are being processed. No one looks like they have been released. So again, it looks like, I would say, hundreds of arrests here, Gord.
I suspect what's happening is police are closing or tightening the noose around this crowd so that they can gain absolute control and disperse the crowd and gain full control of the situation, Francis.
Yeah, it seems like, Gord, police had enough. They don't want a repeat of what happened last night, the lawlessness that was seen on the streets. You know, it is starting to get dark, and they don't want to take that chance again. So right now, they're just corralling everybody and arresting them.
Thanks for your time, Francis. Stay safe out there. Let's go live to Mark Daly now.
Well, we still have a lot to keep our eyes on tonight. We have these continuing confrontations on the street. Tell you more about what happened at the actual summit on our summit special, City News Tonight at 11. Gord?
All right, Mark, thank you for that. You'll find more on our website, citynews.ca. This has been a City News Summit special. We're staying right on top of all developments, and Mark Daly will have the latest tonight at 11. I'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock on City News.
Some wind? Police stealing.
Oh, great. Mr. Clean